happy Friday. Sretan Kapak. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5-Question Friday. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, I answer 5 questions about Croatia from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, expatinCroatia.com, our consulting sessions, email, and people who communicate them through a game of Pictionary. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So today I am in Ližnjan, which is a suburb. I mean, that's probably giving it too much credit to its size. I was told by my friend who lives here that it's just under 1,000 people live in this village. So it's outside Pula. And like I usually do whenever I'm on location, I would love to show it to you. So I'm going to climb up out of this noisy chair. Bear with me. And I'm going to show you where I am today. So, fan of the show, my buddy Rob. Him and I were on a panel today, and I'm staying in his accommodation, which is above his apartment. So I'm going to show you what we're looking at today. So off in the distance, yeah, see that? That way. No, I cannot move my finger properly. But that big hump, that's Rijeka, that way. And then this way, there, if you can see the hump, that is Osor, which is a mountain on the island of Loungin. And you can't see it. I can barely even see it. But off that direction is Susak, which is the island I was on recently while I was on Loungin as well. But yes, this is Ližnjan. Isn't it adorable? And doesn't the sea look beautiful today? I mean, the sea is beautiful every day, but it's especially gorgeous today. So how are we today? I'm so happy you're all here to join me. I'm lit very well. Look at that. I almost look like I have slept more than 2 hours. So let me tell you what's going on. Today I was on a panel. It was supposed to be 2 hours. We got cut crazy short because like most Croatian conferences I've been to, they were always running late. So really, instead of us having a panel where we got to be asked questions, each of the three of us just kind of did a bit of a monologue. So I did not prepare to do a monologue, but Dawn was like, all right, Sarah, you got to go up there and just kind of just do what you can do. So I told the audience about Expat in Croatia, a little bit about the history, what's important to us, and how we try and serve the country, essentially. So I found out that it was recorded, which means we can possibly share it with you. I will let you know when that time comes. But I did say this in a story this morning that when I thought that you were going to be able to see it at all, I was going to share kind of the questions over the next few episodes that we were going to ask. And now that's even more important than ever because we never actually got asked those questions. So they're not actually even duplications. They're just things I can share with you. So I'll start doing that, one question at a time over the course of the next few Fridays, starting next Friday. I got to see some familiar faces. There are a couple people from the Office for Croats Abroad who I've met at previous conferences. So I was interested in that. Let me try that one more time with feeling. It was very nice to catch up with them in person. And then also I met the Croatian ambassador to Norway, which was pretty neat. She suggested something that's too soon for me to share. I would like it to be like a real thing that's happening before we share it. But if it does happen, it will be like, so, I mean, really, ultimately, these conferences are, the best thing about them is that you get to meet people that you never got to meet before. They're great opportunities for networking. So we were there all morning, and tomorrow there's another half day of the conference. So we're going to go and do that. And then in the afternoon, Rob is going to host a barbecue here at his house. He's been, he's from Santa Maria, California. And one thing you should know about the United States, we love barbecue. I know Croatians love barbecue too. A lot of countries love barbecue. And we all do it differently. But in the States in particular, we all do it differently. Like even in Texas, it's one state. We have different kinds of barbecue all over the state. So he was telling me today about how in Santa Maria, California, some small city there, That they even have a specific type of barbecue that he has been promising to cook me for a couple of years now, and it's a specific cut of beef called tri-tip, and it also is accompanied by sausage. I love when we combine two different meats. So it's those, and then there's some kind of special bean dish that goes along with it. So we went to this very famous mesnitsa. It's supposed to be the best butcher in Pula. It's called Libero, and we got his special cut of beef that he pre-orders. And tomorrow we're going to have a barbecue here. So I'll probably share some stories, or at least, whatever is reasonable to share. I'll, of course, ask permission before I do so. But I'll definitely show you some pictures of the food. So I'm really jazzed about that. And his Croatian neighbors are going to join us. And I hear they have an infinity pool. Yeah, so that's what the next couple of days are looking like. I just want to kind of recap last weekend, because right now there's so much going on this last 6 weeks and then the next few weeks ahead. So I feel like I constantly have stuff to update you on. Last Saturday, we had our team building to celebrate our colleague Maria's 5-year anniversary with Expat in Croatia, which was a super mega deal. I posted tons of stories about it. We also did a post on the feed. If you haven't seen that, go and take a look. But we just had such a wonderful time. And the thing that I wanted to call out in particular, because I know I've kind of already talked about that in particular, is this kupalište in Karlovac. So I'm going to pause and answer a question. So Lift Heavy Grow Beards, you can submit questions by sending us a DM for next Friday. There's also a link in our profile to a 5-question Friday forum, but honestly, the easiest thing is just to send us a DM. Say, hey, Cam, I've got a question for 5-question Friday, and she will put it in the queue for you. Thank you. So in Croatia, you have this thing called kupalište, which is like a swimming area. So you wouldn't really have a kupalište on the sea. On the sea, it's a plaža, it's a beach. But if you're on a river or a lake, it's a kupalište. And when we were driving back from where we did the boat trip, we crossed over the Korana River in Karlovac. Karlovac has 2 rivers, Kupa and Korana. And when we were driving over the bridge on the Korana, we spotted this huge kupalište that was just like packed. Packed. And it had this huge like concrete diving platform that had like several different platforms on it. And I was like, we gotta go there. And I had told everybody the day before, I was like, you know what? I don't know if we're gonna be able to swim, but it's mega hot. We're gonna be near rivers. Just bring your bathing suits just in case. You just never know. It's just in case. So after we had lunch at this castle, which is really good, that overlooks Karlovac, we went to that kupalište. Oh, Logan, you've been there. Oh, you have relatives there. That makes sense. It was amazing. Amazing. I posted a few pictures and videos, and I think that we also have something in that post about the team building, so go and check that out. But like, if you are inland, if you can't get to the sea, but you can get to Karlovac, like that is a great place to go swimming and to hang out. Like huge grassy banks next to the river. You don't even have to go in the river if you don't want to, but they have all these like cafe bars and activities, and you can just picnic. It was such a good vibe. It was such a good vibe. I was like, I wish this was driving distance from Split, like in a reasonable day trip. But I loved it. I went in the river, and it was like the perfect temperature. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't too hot. It was glorious. So a few of us swam in the Korana, and I'm really excited to go back. That was a really cool experience. So I wanted to make sure that I called that out. It's worth a visit for sure. Okay, what else do I want to tell you? So I'm not going to dwell on this because this is not Croatia related, but I had an amazing time in Dublin. I was there like 40 hours just to see my favorite band, and it made me very, very happy, and I was so full of joy. And I made a little reel video thing, and I put it up on stories because everyone voted that they wanted to hear about my trip to Dublin. But I really focused it, on this particular song that means so much to me. And it does. It reminds me of Croatia. It really does. And I was watching videos the next day, like, because I took some throughout the concert, because I look at those things the next day, and I just was like tears. So that was a really, really special thing that I got to do, and I'm really grateful that I got to do it. So I came back yesterday and went straight into this, epic travels to get here to Pula so I could be here for the conference. So what's happening next? So next Sunday morning, I'm flying to Zagreb. And I've got some people I get to see on Sunday that I haven't seen in a while, and also get to see my colleague Maria again. And then on Monday, the Croatian Fraternal Union is hosting this one-day free course on Croatian history. We have put it up on our stories a couple of times. I don't know if there's free spots left. There might be. But if you're in Zagreb and, come check it out. I'm going to be there. Maria's going to be there. Danielle's going to be there. So 3 people from our team. And I'm super jazzed. The second I saw it, I was like, what do I have to do to be able to get myself to Zagreb that day? Because it's really hard to learn about Croatian history in this country. First of all, this is a pretty consistent statement I've heard from Croatians is like the best books on Croatian history are not in English, for one. And 2, you can't ask about it. You can't ask. You have to wait until someone offers something up. And 3rd, it's everyone has a different perspective, different story, different experience. So you really just have to wait until there's an opportunity. And this is an amazing opportunity to be able to get like a big dose of 5 hours of history. So I'm really excited about that personally, and also it's just a great opportunity in general. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. I hope to see you there. Tuesday, I'm going to be at an American Chamber of Commerce event that is going to be all about Croatian taxes and the changes ahead. So I will certainly share some highlights from that afterwards. And then Thursday is 4th of July. We close our offices on the 4th of July. Because when I always take the 4th of July off. I'm American, and 4th of July is a holiday that I really enjoy because it involves barbecuing and swimming. And in the States, if it's on a Tuesday or a Thursday, you usually get like 2 days off, which is really cool. So when I first started, working with other people, Maria was the first employee, and then Terry was the second. And Terry's an American, and I was like, I'm not going to take this day off and not give it to Terry. And if I'm going to give it to Terry, I'm not going to not give it to Maria. So I was like, we're just going to make it a company policy. Who cares that, thankfully I can make those decisions. We also take 2 days for Thanksgiving off in November as well. But it's a nice day to take off for the entire company. So we will be out on Thursdays, and as you know, we're closed on Fridays for summer. But Thursday, I'm going to spend it with my American buddy, Loungin, who's here. I saw him comment already. So we're going to go hang around Zagreb. So if you happen to see us, wave us down and say hi. And then Friday, I'm going to another American Chamber of Commerce event. They do these like GM breakfasts where it's just general manager, CEOs, and above. And I have not been to one yet since we've been a member. So I'm really excited to do that. If you are an entrepreneur in Croatia, the American Chamber of Commerce is a really great organization to join because you have access to like 400 of the largest companies in Croatia. I mean, Jamnica, Croatia Airlines, Philip Morris, that's just to name a few. So you can pretty much get an intro to anybody that you would like. And so I imagine that there's going to be some high-powered people at this thing on Friday. So I'm a little intimidated, I won't lie, but I'm excited about it. So I'll share that experience with you next Friday. So next Friday, I will be doing 5 questions from Zagreb. So if you have any suggestions on where I should do 5 questions, send us a DM, let Cam know. I'm looking for a good spot to do it. And, you're always welcome to show up and join me for that. I'm down. If I can figure out a place, like not last minute, I'll post on stories, and anyone who wants to come join can come and join. I just want to be somewhere in the shade so I'm not like frying to death and sweating in front of you. That'd be very unattractive. But any suggestions you have, I'd love it. I love parks and any place with trees. And that's it, I think. Let me take a look at my notes and see if there's anything else that I missed. No. I hit all the points, guys. So what do you say that we dive into the questions today, huh? So if you're just joining us, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is 5 Question Friday. I'm going to answer 5 questions about Croatia that you guys have sent in. And if you have any questions right now that come to mind, feel free to drop them in the chat and maybe I'll answer them for you right here. Okay, this first question comes from Elsie here on Instagram. Why are lifeguards not a thing in Croatia? I've never seen one in a beach. So, all right, let me give you the answer, and then I'm going to say something else. Oh, hey, Jacqueline, you rock too. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so my colleague Daniela prepared this response. There are lifeguards on beaches, but not enough of them, so you only see them sometimes. The licensing is done by the Red Cross only. Fun fact. And it is a difficult course, so this is why there are so few of them. In 2003, there were only 600 licensed lifeguards in the whole of Croatia. So they are only at the largest beaches. And you know what? I thought this was so coincidental because when I first got here 12 years ago, I do remember seeing lifeguards at the beach in Split. And then I don't feel like it was very long after that they disappeared and never came back. And then when we were at the Kupalište in Karlovac last weekend, I was like, holy cow, there are so many lifeguards here. Like a lot of lifeguards. And then I go in to prepare our questions this week on Tuesday, and we get this question, why are there no lifeguards in Croatia? So anyways, if you would like to be a lifeguard in Croatia, we have a link to the entire process, and we can send that to you. So just let us know. Hey, Mickey's Croatian Kitchen. I would like to give you a shout out. Mickey's Croatian Kitchen was one of our Women's Month winners from 2022. So big shout out to you and Dubrovnik. Hey. So our next question comes from Harry on the 5 Question Friday forum. Is it legal to drive barefoot or in flip-flops in Croatia? That's a great question. I never would have thought of it, but I want to say I feel like that is illegal or there's a rule against it, at least at a bare minimum in Texas. So this is the answer. There are no special rules in Croatia regarding driving barefoot or in flip-flops, but police recommend driving in tennis shoes. Research by the Austrian Auto Club has shown that the reaction time with flip-flops is much slower than with Texas, oh my God, Texas on the brain, than with tennis shoes on the feet, for example, and the braking force is also weaker. There's also a danger that your flip-flops will get stuck on one of the pedals, and in traffic, reaction speed is extremely important. That all makes sense to me. So we have so many guides that are related to this. And I just want to shout out to the people on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I've put all of our reference links to every single question down in the caption already for you. So on Instagram, you got to DM us and we'll send you the guide. But on YouTube, it's all right there, just spoon-fed for you. So welcome. We have guides on how to buy a car, how to register a car, how to get a driver's license. The Hrvatska Auto Club, so that's a Croatian auto club, which is kind of like they offer a service kind of like AAA, and then also how to get Croatian car insurance. Okay, so our next question, this is anonymous here on Instagram. Are there work unions in Croatia? So first, let's define what it is that we're talking about. So a work or trade union is an organization created by employees. It can represent employees in a specific economic branch or a specific company and is established to improve and maintain wages, benefits, and working conditions. Yes, Croatia has unions. They enable you to find out about your rights and give you free professional and legal assistance to realize and further improve your labor rights in practice. Now, in Croatia, there is a law that regulates unions. So this is the part of the show where I say some Croatian words that I haven't said before for your enjoyment. And there's some long ones here. Okay. The name of the law is Zakon o reprezentativnosti udruga poslodavaca I sindikata. Sindikata? I don't know. I don't know what the emphasis is on for that word. That translates as law on the representativeness of employers, associations, and trade unions. I don't think that that translates very well. What do you think? So this law defines how unions can be organized and who can form them. We do have a link to that law. If you would like us, let us know. Katie Glass, I see you. Hi. Okay, so we also have a list of all of the independent work unions in Croatia and an official list of all the unions in Croatia. So any of that stuff you'd like, we have it. We also have a guide on your rights as a worker in Croatia, the types of employment contracts, which are very important because those also govern rights and how you get paid, how to get a work permit, and how to get a job. So all of that stuff we can provide to you. All right, so this brings us to our lawyer tip of the week. Dun, 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 dun. Jazzy. All right, so the most useless question you can ask a lawyer or government institution in Croatia is, how long will this take? There are really, really, really no time frames for anything. The only thing that you can lean on is that there is a human factor involved. If you are respectful and kind, it can help your case. The two worst things you can do is to let it go, because it'll end up sitting in some drawer because no one is interested, or push too much and create a negative effect. It's a matter of emotional intelligence in the end. Absolutely. And I would like to add on to this, okay? So, MOP has said to us several times in the last 6 months, officially on email, that the timeline for getting approved for a temporary residence application is 60 days. That's the time period that you will have an answer within 60 days. And that is not even remotely true. It's not remotely true. Why do they say this? I think they have to have a company line of some kind. They can't just say, I don't know. You know, they got to tell you something. They started saying this 60 days thing, like, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And I was like, why are you saying that? Well, they said it, and I was like, oh, maybe this is actually going to be true. But then in practice, it's not true. And in fact, in the last year, the processing times have just taken longer. But that's just about temporary residence. There are an infinite number of procedures where you have to wait for something in Croatia. And I find that waiting times are the thing that foreigners tend to have the hardest time wrapping their mind around. Like, why isn't this taking 2 days? You know, or 1 day, or it doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. Why is there not more definition around how long things take? How can you just say, I don't know? It's like, because they really don't know. There's too many variables. They don't have strict rules that regulate the processing of these things. I mean, I keep pretty close tabs on digital nomads, like the permits that are offered around the world, just so I can see like the trends and how Croatia ranks and all the requirements. And there are a number of countries that are like, well, you'll be approved in 30 days. It's like, Croatia's not that way. You know, there is a price to pay to be able to live in this beauty. So that is, that's just something you just gotta deal with. But, you know, what the lawyer said about, you know, there's a balance in terms of following up. I didn't want to go too deep into that because this particular piece of lawyer advice is really specific to timeframes. But in a future lawyer tip, I want to talk about when to follow up, how to follow up, when not to follow up, because there is an artistry to that in Croatia that everyone really needs to know. So, Logan, I see that you were talking about your application for citizenship and that you applied 25 months ago. I am coming up on my second anniversary of applying for citizenship. So I applied on July 14th, 2022. So I will about hit the 2-year mark soon. And they're due for a follow-up, actually. So I've got to go talk to one of our lawyers in person about it to see what it is we're going to do, because at this point, at 2 years, you really need to have some kind of concrete answer on what's going on. You just can't let it go into infinity at this point. Okay. Our fourth question. This is an anonymous question that came in on one of my consulting sessions. So I'm actually kind of surprised that this is the first time. Well, I don't want to say the first time we've gotten this question, because I don't know if maybe someone else on my team has spoken to someone and they've been asked that. But usually in that case, I would think that they would come and talk to me about it most likely. But I've never seen this question before. So I'm kind of surprised, but I'm kind of happy that we haven't gotten it yet, because I think it shows how much you guys believe and trust in us. And trust is really important. That's something that has always been very important to me and the brand that we're trying to build here, the reputation we're trying to build. Not super articulate today, guys. Okay, this is the question. My reason for reaching out for your help is my concerns about fraud and identity theft during the process of obtaining citizenship with your company. Are there additional safeguards I should consider going forward? So I would like to share with you how we keep your data safe. Because I think, like most of us, nobody reads the fine print. I don't think any of you are actually going to our privacy policy and reading through it. So I'm going to tell you. So first, we follow the rules per the GDPR. GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation. This is something that the EU implemented in 2016, and the purpose of it is to protect the data of EU citizens. But because it protects EU citizens, it ends up protecting EU residents, and it ends up even protecting people who don't live in Europe. Because if you have a European IP, then you must be protected under these guidelines. And they're quite extensive. We had to hire a lawyer to make sure that we were compliant. And as part of that, they go over every tool that we use, how we build our site, how we present information to you, how our privacy policy is written, what boxes you got to check, how we store your data, all of that stuff. It was very, very extensive because we're rule followers over at Expat in Croatia. Why wouldn't we be? The whole thing that we're doing here is communicating the rules to you. So we have to practice what we preach. So when you fill out a form on our site, there is a box that tells you, hey, this is how we deal with your data, and links you out to the privacy policy. So we're very clear, and you have to check that box. That's part of GDPR regulations. So we do that. When we have a client who comes in who wants to talk to one of our lawyers, or me or Cam has a consulting session with someone who wants to talk to a lawyer or a tax advisor or whatever, any kind of like third-party licensed professional that does a job that we cannot do because we are not licensed for that, then we always ask permission. Like, do we have your permission to share your family history of your great-grandfather who left Privlaka and moved to New Jersey? So that way we don't assume we have your permission. We ask for permission. We send that over, and that's all explained in the GDPR as well. What else? Oh, yeah. When you use one of our lawyers, of course, they're lawyers, so they abide by attorney-client privilege. Now, I would say that something you should be aware of, and this is mostly for the Croatian diaspora in the room now. It's very common for diaspora to use like a lawyer or an accountant that like a cousin has recommended or an uncle has recommended. And when that happens, I mean, there's a few consequences of that snenario, but the biggest consequence is that very often that lawyer or tax professional is sharing your information with whichever relative recommended you. And you should know that. So I would not recommend using any kind of professional that knows your family. Not only will they probably know your business, but there's also a very good chance that they're just not going to do a great job. Like, they may take your money and you may never hear from them again, because there's also going to be this implied like favor exchange, or not exchange, but like they're doing you a favor somehow. And in Croatia, you have two kind of ways to view favors. One is like, this is just being a human. You're just being nice because it's a reflex. Like, of course I'm going to help you do this because it's just the right thing to do. But then there's something else. And the something else is where you should probably be paying for this service, but they don't want to be bothered to like ask for money or have that conversation or like set any guidelines. And so that is the favor that is problematic, because when you're not paying for something like that, then it just may never happen. Whatever it is you are asking them to do, whether it's a procedure or painting your house or fixing your car or whatever it is, they will do it on their time frame, and their time frame could mean years. So it's just better to like avoid that conflict entirely and just make a proper relationship with a professional with defined terms. It has absolutely nothing to do with anybody you know. And in that case, you know, they're supposed to be abiding by attorney-client privilege regardless. So I'm confident all the lawyers that we work with, they do that, and they are looking out for your best interest, not just because it's the law. The last thing I want to mention is that our site is very secure. My background is in web development. That's the business that I had before starting Expat in Croatia. Did that for a long time. So we use only strong password two-factor authentication protocols on the site. We also have a lot of security implementations. We've never had a hack ever on our site. I'm really proud of that. We take all the precautions to make sure that doesn't happen. So that's the answer about how you can avoid fraud and identity theft with us at Expat in Croatia. Like, you can trust us with your stuff. Okay. Alrighty. What do I want to add? Oh, I have 3 links for you. YouTube people, it's down below. Instagram people, send us a DM. We have a guide on how to apply for citizenship by descent, because that's what he was asking about. We have a guide on GDPR. That's a guide that we put out when GDPR came out, so we could explain how it exactly impacts you. So we have that. And then also, if you would like a lawyer service of any kind, we have like a generic page where we talk about how we vetted that network, what their specialties are, you know, kind of the process that you will experience, like what that customer experience is like with us, because it's different than anybody else in Croatia. So we have that as well. All right. This is our last question. So if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer today, go ahead and drop them down below, and then I'll answer them right after this question. So I am a U.S. citizen. Oh, anonymous on Instagram. I am a U.S. citizen, but I've never had a passport. I want to move to Croatia. Is there an amount of time a passport must be valid before being eligible to apply for residence? It's a great question. No, there is not. However, there is a maximum. So when you apply for residence in Croatia, you need to have at least 13 months left on your passport when you apply. That's it. It's okay if your passport's new. There's no problem with that. There's no concerns about that. So you don't have to worry. What do I got? So we have 3 guides that are related to this. One is all your options for residence. We have a guide on that. We have a guide specifically on your options for residence and how to apply for non-EU citizens. And then also we have a guide on how to register for residence as an EU EEA. So anything residence related, we've got all of that stuff. YouTube people down below. So that's it, guys. Oh, I just have like a fun thing to share with you. So Rob, who I'm staying with, is an American. He's very American. I think he's taking a nap right now, so he won't hear me say this until later. So he just got back from America like yesterday, and he brought me this like big goodie bag of American candy, like vintage candy. So I just want to show you some of these things. Red Vines, which I don't think I've had since I was a child. Pop Rocks, which is something I'm going to eat after this. If you don't know what Pop Rocks are, they're some kind of sugar concoction, little crystals, and you put them on your tongue, and then they just start like foaming and popping. I don't know. There's an appeal. These, which I don't like these, but I don't think anyone does. Necco, I'm just surprised that they even still exist. See, since 1847. Hershey's, which, oh, it's melting. Yikes, I shouldn't have done that. This I'm really excited about. Red Hots, Big Red, and Atomic Fireballs. So all three of these are like cinnamon red hot things. Oh, and the last thing, and Logan, you're gonna love this. A whole bag of Taco Bell hot sauce, all different heat levels. I mean, I love the Diablo and the hot. I always err on the side of hot. So when I get back to Split, I don't know, 7 months from now, it feels like I am going to make some tacos and absolutely eat this stuff so much. Oh, and he gave me a packet of ranch flavoring stuff, which is inside, and a bag of chips, and then a big thing of sour cream. So that's probably going to be my dinner. I have no regrets, and I have no shame about it. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I love this time with you. I'm going to give you one last look at the sea for your Friday evening. Can you see how hot it is? I mean, no wonder the Hershey's chocolate is melting. All right, let's just pop right over here. I'm going to give you one last look at the sea. Here we go. I'm going to do it in silence. Okay, here I am. I'm back. All right. So if you would like to see your answers, no, that's not right. If you would like to see your questions be answered on a future episode, please send Cam a DM here. YouTube people, you can drop a comment down below. And that's it. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay tuned for more stories from the rest of these adventures over the next week. There's so much going on this week between these events here in Pula and then in Zagreb next week. And like I said, if you have any suggestions on where I should film 5 Question Friday from Zagreb next week, I want to hear about it. And you're welcome to come and join me. So, vidimo se. Bye bye. Ciao.